What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is the dramedy film Lady Bird. Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, Lady Bird takes place in the early 2000s where Christine McPherson, who goes by the name Lady Bird, is attempting to figure out which direction she wants to go in life. As a high school senior, Lady Bird struggles with common teenager problems like romance, friendships, and of course trying to decide which college she wants to attend. As conflict and stress arise, Lady Bird attempts to push forward and make it through her teenage years with the help of her family. Okay, so let me just say this right off the bat. I've been trying to see Lady Bird for a while now. I've looked, and I couldn't find it anywhere close to me. And I've had a couple people comment here and there and say, hey Will, are you gonna review Lady Bird? And I'm always like, I hope so. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I really do hope so because I hope I can actually find it. Well, finally, I saw that a theater about an hour away from me, a theater I've never been to, had Lady Bird. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna take a whole day and go and watch this movie. And thankfully, it was well worth the trip because this is a very, very good film that's definitely worth seeing if you can find it. This film kind of reminded me a little bit of The Edge of 17, mostly in the sense that it's a coming-of-age film about a high school girl struggling to fit in and with her romances and of course with a bunch of family drama on top of that. Lady Bird plays a pretty similar tune in that it focuses almost exclusively on the fairly standard hardships that the main character undergoes as she starts to become an adult. But there are definitely some unique characteristics to Christine's story, and that's partly what separates this film from other similar ones like The Edge of 17. It's a slightly different approach and execution. One thing I loved about Lady Bird was that it's a film that tends to subvert your expectations in some ways. There's several moments you're expecting things to take a turn in a certain direction because you've seen it happen in another coming-of-age story or another similar type of film, and Lady Bird instead goes in a slightly different direction. I liked how it keeps you guessing by providing the familiar and mixing it with something a little bit different, and that's something that not a lot of coming-of-age films can say. Something else I liked was how Lady Bird walks that fine line between being a comedy and being a drama. There's a lot of funny moments to be found here, more than I was expecting to be honest, but the comedy isn't overwhelming. It doesn't overshadow the primary focus of the film, Lady Bird and her coming-of-age story. There weren't any moments where I was like, okay, this is getting a little obnoxious, and the humor is used a little bit too often. That doesn't happen. I feel like the humor is balanced really nicely with the drama, and it's used correctly. When it comes to the drama, I was very invested throughout. I was excited to see what came next in Christine's story because I became really invested in her character, and I wanted things to work out for her. I wanted them to work out for her really badly, and I think that's how the film kind of grabs you and pulls you in. There's definitely some universal elements to her story that all former and current teenagers can probably relate to, or at least most of us. And that's great, but there's also some specificity as well, and I like that. Not all coming-of-age stories are 100% relatable, and I'm good with that. And Lady Bird isn't 100% relatable, but it still works at a very high level. It still works in large part because Greta Gerwig had such a strong vision for what she wanted this film to be. It's loosely based on her teenage years, and she knew exactly what themes and messages she wanted to convey through this film. She wanted to show everyone or remind everyone that growing up isn't easy, and we all may have different circumstances and different stories, but the process is often pretty similar. There's several tender, heartwarming moments in this film, and several bitter realities as well. And that hit me in the feels a little harder than I expected. It also helps that the acting is tremendous. You can pretty much book it that Saoirse Ronan and Laurie Metcalf will be nominated for Oscars in their respective categories because they easily delivered two of the best performances I've seen this year. I very much feel like their characters were real because they were just overflowing with personality and awkward charm, for lack of a better word. They felt like real people and not characters in a movie. And that to me is a sign that you're watching great actors, at least for this kind of movie that's designed to be semi-realistic. There's really only one thing I disliked, and it's a relatively minor criticism, but it still is a criticism nonetheless. So the ending. And don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I'm not going to say much about it. I'll just say that it's awkward. The film is only like an hour and a half long, and I feel like there were some loose ends that weren't completely wrapped up, and some plot lines that weren't quite resolved. I think you could have added probably 20 more minutes to this film and things would have felt more complete. That's just my take, you may differ, but to me the ending felt a little abrupt and not complete. Alright, so as we wrap up, as for the pros cons, I thought Lady Bird had an excellent, realistic, and surprising coming-of-age story, excellent acting, especially from Ronan and Metcalf, a great balance of comedy and drama, and awesome characters. For the cons, I didn't love the ending. But that's really about it. I'm gonna give Lady Bird a 9.5 out of 10 and definitely recommend you check this one out in theaters if you can find it. If you enjoyed coming of age films, you'll enjoy this one. So did you guys see Lady Bird yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And also let me know your favorite coming of age film. I think mine is probably still The Edge of 17 because I just really love that movie. Oh, and also my top 10 movies of the year video is coming soon. Now that I've seen Lady Bird, I feel pretty comfortable making that video, so be on the lookout for it. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next video.